Stocks, bonds, ETFs, straight out of downtown Chicago. This is Zach's Market Edge.
Welcome to Zach's Market Edge, the podcast about investing in your life. I'm your host, Tracy Brynick, and this week I'm joined by Zach's associate stock strategist, Maddie Johnson, to talk about our favorite topic, retail and shopping. But we're taking a little bit different look at it this week because we're going to talk about social media shopping. Yeah, what does that mean? It means shopping directly on the social media sites. This is the next big thing in retail and in shopping in general. And many of you probably don't even really kind of know it's happening, but it is from behind the scenes. Now, I saw a stat that said shopping directly off of these social media apps was up 17% over the Black Friday weekend. That includes over through Cyber Monday. So what does this mean again? What does it mean to shop off of social media? So I went into the rabbit hole this morning, Maddie, and I've been for hours apparently shopping on my social media sites because I really didn't know either. I mean, I've seen the little shopping bag on like the Instagram app, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And I haven't really explored like how much actual shopping you can do on there. So I set out to try it and do it and see what it all entailed, especially on Instagram. I went over to Facebook and I couldn't even find the shopping logo or anything to do with shopping on Facebook. So, but I didn't spend that much time over there because really Instagram, I feel, is where it's at for that ecosystem kind of thing. But they do have it on Facebook as well. But I mean, I didn't realize they even added like a cart to Instagram. Like you can literally, so I found out there was two ways to shop on there. I can either go through the little shopping bag and go to people's sites, their shop on Instagram, depending on what it's giving me as based on my people I follow and my interests, it's going to give me little shops. Or if I go to the cart on there, I can shop sites that have already set up like actual shopping on Instagram and literally add it to a cart on Instagram and like buy it off of Instagram. But that seemed more advanced. Like some of the sponsored brands that are at the bottom of my shopping cart page were like the big name brands, like H&M was the first one. There was a lot of the beauty brands, like the Carly Cosmetics was on there, or Kylie Cosmetics.
Kylie, yeah. I mean, who's Carly? She's another sister we don't know about.
Right. No, Kylie was on there. And then Revolve had its own little shop on there, and then Nike, Adidas. It was like the big name guys paid big money to be at the bottom of that shopping cart. I think they probably are for everybody's shopping carts at the bottom there. Mm-hmm. But otherwise in my store was just, let's just say it was kind of lame, but that could be because I'm like, my interests are lame too. I don't know, but it was mainly a few stores of like some influencers who have set up their own stores to sell certain items. And then it was just like other weird random things. So for instance, I follow a lot of gardens on my Instagram feed. And so in my shop, it had like places that were selling like various like tulip bulbs or whatnot. Like I could click on it and go to their shop and buy like a tulip bulb. But it was just it just had like this random picture in there. It was kind of lame. It didn't make me like super excited to go buy that. So I don't know, like, this is all new and they are, trying to integrate at Instagram. If we're going to stay on Instagram, I guess we are, since that's all I'm talking about at the moment. But the shop page was not super inspiring. And on a side note, there is another way to shop on there, which I feel may get more traction than that shopping bag shop page, is that when you make your post now, if you have your own shop and you have, products to sell, then you can tag items in your post that people can then shop.
Yeah. So that feature is older.
Right.
That they rolled that out a few years ago, and so that's kind of how the Instagram shopping started. So I follow this jewelry brand called Majuri, and on Instagram, and I'm looking at one of their posts now, and they have like the little shopping bag in the left-hand corner, and I'll tap on the post and it'll be like, oh, the heirloom ring garnet, and I'll click on that and it'll bring me to a separate page. Then I can view on website. So it'll take me to the Majuri website through the Instagram app, and then I can buy it if I wanted to. Now, that's kind of like how it all started. And we talked about this like a few years ago where we were like noticing it. But now, like, as you said, they just made the shopping feature like more visible. Like that app update was like a few weeks ago. So when I click on the app, like, or the shopping feature on mine, they actually they're showing me posts that I've saved previously. Where, but they have like the shopping feature in the post, which I think is really interesting. So I feel like I use Instagram more than you. I don't want to assume, but I'm just going maybe to assume for this podcast. So my shopping thing is way more tailored to my taste, because I'm like a lot of people, I've scrolled quite a bit on this app this year. And it just has a lot more to offer for me. I haven't bought anything on Instagram, but as I was telling you a while ago, for Black Friday, I bought all of my gifts online this year, which was the first time I've ever done that. So it wouldn't be out of the norm for me for like next year's holiday season for me to start buying things through a social media app, now that I've kind of like fully like made the transition to all online shopping for the holidays. But yeah, this I feel like I could be using very soon to buy products and stuff like that.
Now, I'm assuming, but I don't know this for sure, that if you want your shop or your products to be featured in that shop feature, that you have to pay to be over there. Is that true? Or I don't know. I was on Instagram for Business and looking around over there to see if I could figure out if you needed to do that, but maybe not. Maybe it automatically, if you set it up to go into the shop feature, it automatically will go over there. But
yeah, I'm not sure, but I know when Instagram started rolling out the shopping feature, they partnered with like 20 or so specific brands to like kind of like launch. And that included like Nike, which you mentioned. So that makes sense that you're seeing that, because I feel like we're all seeing that. Now, I don't know, in order to like use the feature, if you have to be at a certain revenue level, or like a sales level that you bring in every year or every quarter or every month or something, where you're now quote unquote like qualified to do it. Just kind of how in the Instagram stories feature, like Kim Kardashian she was like an extreme example, can have like the swipe up feature in the stories, which brings you to a link that for the product that she's sponsoring or whatever. You have to have a certain amount of followers to be able to do that. So I'm wondering if it's like, if the shopping feature kind of requires the same thing.
I don't know. Some of the brands on mine are smaller and are just like smaller influencers and like local-ish kind of products based on my interests. So maybe you don't have to pay to be over there, and that's just a service that they're giving for the shopping bag. That's the shopping bag thing. But in the cart, when I go there, it is what you said. Those are all the big name brands that have paid to be like right there.
Right.
Go to that.
And then another interesting thing that I saw this morning was that, so the Instagram Reels, which is their TikTok copycat, you're now able to shop sponsored product in the Reels function, where like a user will like be advertising like a Yeti tumbler, let's say, for instance, where they have, they're partnering with Yeti, they get X amount of dollars for doing the post, but now you can shop that specific Yeti tumbler in the reel that they post, which I think is very cool because TikTok, they're doing the same thing. They partnered with Shopify, where you can, you can, users and followers can shop certain features in the TikTok, and then TikTok creators will then get compensation for how many clicks and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I wondered how much Shopify was in play with a lot of these sites. Seems like they're in most of them. big deal. Okay, so when I first went into, I think it was the cart, since I never clicked on the cart before when I was in Instagram, it gave me this like warning message that anything in the shopping cart or in that world on that area would be curated from both Facebook and Instagram and any other part of Facebook, basically, that if I'm looking at something over on Facebook, then they basically are warning me that they may show it to me on Instagram, even if I'm not looking at that, whatever it is, on Instagram itself. Like they're looking at my behavior throughout their whole ecosystem, which is obviously one of the problems that people are complaining about now, including the FTC, about having, basically too much access to the data of consumers, that they are now going to target me based on what I'm looking at on Facebook over on Instagram and vice versa.
Yes. I've definitely noticed that too, where it's like I don't want to say like mistakenly clicked on an ad on Facebook, but I know that if I do that whatever that product that I clicked on, it will show up everywhere else, including Instagram. So, but yeah, like whatever I Google, I know I'll see an ad for it on Instagram, like in no time. I'll see an ad for it on Facebook, and it's everything. I don't want to say, well, it is kind of annoying, but it's almost like I've gotten used to it now.
Right. I was just going to say, we understand that is what's going to happen.
Yes.
Not really surprised by it anymore. And in some ways, it makes some sense for them to do that because whatever you're looking at on the one site, it's probably likely you're looking at similar stuff on the other one anyway. So you might as well be targeted for the same time. Okay. Yeah. I also thought, I was reading on the Instagram for Business and the Facebook for Business page that if anyone is out there looking for, career opportunities, that kind of thing, like there's going to have to be a whole ecosystem of people who know how to set up all these, retail, the websites, the stores, how to do the posts, all this stuff. There's going to be a lot of jobs created about how to do retail on social media apps, because it's a different skill.
Yeah, that's a good point, because so I was on Kevin Cook's Mind Over Money podcast last week, and we were talking about Shopify and big commerce. Yeah. And I was saying that, so like a company like Kylie Cosmetics, for instance, they're one of Shopify's biggest customers. Okay. And we were talking about why a company like hers, where it's incredibly fast growing, it's raking in the money, like just constantly hitting sales goals, why they haven't switched to their own website, a shopping website aside, like apart from Shopify. And Shopify, just like the process of hiring an entire web development team is incredibly expensive. Yes. So for a fast growing company like hers, like Kylie Cosmetics, it makes sense to lower cost and just continue to use Shopify. Yeah. But for those that can afford the cost of hiring that web development team And if you're in the retail business, whatever that may entail, yeah, I mean, you're going to probably hire at least 2 people to specifically manage how that retail brand is marketed and sold online through social media apps.
Yeah. How will this influence what happens with the influencers and retail? So say, the name of the game on Instagram in particular used to be you got as many followers as you can so you could get sponsorships to do posts on products and make money off of doing posts on products. But now Instagram is giving you the ability, again, to have your own shop, which you can now set up on Shopify and sell your own branded products instead of waiting to get some kind of sponsorship. If you're in some kind of influencer area where you could have some kind of branded products.
Right.
It doesn't always correlate, but it may, but that to me is going to take like the influencer world to like a whole nother level, I feel.
I agree, because I mean, obviously you have to have an X amount of followers to be considered an influencer. Right. And then you like start seeking out like these small time partnerships on like Instagram, popular like brands, and like the flat tummy tea or like the hair bear care vitamins, whatever. Those are like the classic, like stereotypical things that these like small time influencers promote. But then once you reach a certain level and you're like well known and you have like 2 million followers, yeah, you can partner with like a lot of influencers partner with Revolve to make their own clothing line, or they have like branded, I don't know, home decor or whatever. Like they do a whole thing. And like, I mean, just look at Kristen Cavallari, who was only really well known to being married to Jay Cutler. And then she created like her whole jewelry line. So she really was an influencer and then took advantage of that status to create this brand. So yeah, I mean, they're going to become like mega social media stars for sure.
Yeah, you could have like certain brands expanding on their own now instead of, doing the partnership. She was the first person who popped into my mind. And now with the way Instagram has set it up, she wouldn't even need to open up her own physical stores, because she literally opened up her own stores, that one in Nashville and there's one in Chicago, to sell the jewelry. But now she just goes on Shopify, her own thing there, and literally sells right off of Instagram instead.
Right. And I'm sure that's how she gets the majority of her sales, like is like through her online business, because I mean, I feel like opening up a brick and mortar store is almost like a novelty thing, where you do it in like select cities and it's like it's a whole thing. And then you can, for customers like us, I know we both like to actually go shopping in stores when there isn't a pandemic, to like see the product and whatnot. But for her, I don't think it ended up ever being a necessity. It was more just like a little, like the icing on the cake.
Totally. So I just went to her Instagram page because I don't follow her. And it's interesting what shows up versus like a few of the other influencers I was looking at to prepare for this podcast. So she has 4 million followers now. And up at the top, you could always put, one link in there, which she has. Uncommon James is the name of her business. Mm-hmm. And so she has the link up there, but she is not using the shop tab that I can see. No, it would show up like right away, right at the top. And so there's no shop there. So she does not have like the shopping feature that Instagram, they launched that where you can put your own little tab up at the top.
Okay. But so you can, so if you search, if you search her brand in the shopping like feature, it comes up. So she does have a store, but you're right, she doesn't promote that store on her page.
Right. She doesn't have like the links and all that you can have like right there. But again, like on a side note that has nothing to do with shopping, if you are in marketing, this is like an area to go into because it is changing quickly, and they only started adding that shop button from what I can tell. Like it was only a couple months ago, because on the Instagram for Business page, it said something like it was in like May of 2020 or something.
Yeah, it was very recent that they moved the shopping bag down to the thing, but It's always been, it used to be in the top right-hand corner I just ignored it. I was like, I don't want that. But now that they moved it down to where like your profile button is, now it's like, oh, well, maybe I will click on it and see what I can buy.
Right. But yeah, some of the ones who've actually set up their entire store on Instagram are doing it better than like what she is here. She's not really using it to the full extent that they've allowing her to use it now. But that will probably change shortly, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Any of these. So we know Instagram, obviously one of the bigger social media sites for this, but we'll see how the shopping component actually turns out. But one of the other ones who's kind of new into the game too is Pintrest. Mm-hmm. And that is much smaller site. Obviously, it gets a lot less play than Instagram, but I've always felt like shopping on Pinterest was a given, and they've been working to develop it over the last couple of years the same way they've done with Instagram, where there was always that kind of tagging thing in the picture and whatnot. But now they too have their own little shopping module, but it doesn't show up as a shopping bag like on the site the same way Instagram has tried to do it. So when I'm on there and I just click like the search button to search for ideas, it does pop up with shopping ideas like up at the top. So it does try to lure me into the shopping.
Yeah. So going off that, I search coffee table decor because I need inspiration for my personal coffee table. And they have the explore button and then they have the shop button.
Yes.
So if you click on shop, it's all these affiliate links to like places like Wayfair and Etsy and Joss and Main, and where you can buy either coffee tables or, books and bases to put on your coffee table. So it's more, I don't know, it's different, but it's the same as Instagram.
Yeah. One of the differences I feel, though, and I don't know if you've ever done this, but have you ever saved or pinned one of the pictures off the shopping module to like a board?
I have not. But I know if I go to I'm clicking on my account and I click on my living room board, I can click on the shop button of that board, and that way I can shop the pins that I've pinned to that board.
Okay.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And that's new, but I haven't really been at like a dedicated user of Pinterest in a really long time. So this whole shopping feature is quite new to me, because I know, well, like Instagram, right? Pinterest with their shopping, it really started as like a advertising thing where their ads looked like the regular pins. They blended right in. So you clicked on them, you kind of didn't even know it was an advertisement for a new bed or whatever. Yeah. And that I know we had talked about it before, how it was like so streamlined and so invisible to the user, where this shopping feature now just is an evolution of that original advertising strategy.
Totally. Sometimes I don't know if I'm in the explore or the shop, even though it will tell you up at the top, but I'm kind of not paying attention, and I'm just like, oh. So on the shop feature, they do tell you how much things are. Like when you look at the pictures, then it should be obvious to me, like, oh yeah, I'm in the shop. Right. Obviously, it's telling me it's $200 or whatever it is. But still, I still get sucked into the shopping much easier on Pinterest than I do on the Instagram because I'm still pinning some of the shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels like it's the same thing as when I'm in the explore buttons. And I don't know if you're doing any kind of home decor, as you just mentioned, on Pinterest, they make it super easy to do shopping on there. And to me, I feel like it's pretty genius for any kind of home decor shopping on Pinterest. And you can really see some of the big names are all over it. Always when I'm doing the shopping at Home Depot, Lowe's, Wayfair is a ton on there. Etsy, as you mentioned, Overstock is huge. But all the big names, and they all are paying to be on there.
Yeah, like West Elm too, and like that. Have you heard of Article? They're like a mid-century modern furniture line that is, I don't want to say all the rage, but it's like really, really, really popular, like West Elm popular. But yeah, so like those type of like Instagram friendly brands are all over Pinterest too. Yeah.
And this is fairly recent, is the shop like little module on Pinterest, only a couple of quarters now. And they too have partnered with Shopify. So if you are a smaller merchant, you can still have your site on there and allow people to buy like directly off of there as well, which is huge for like, regular smaller businesses that are trying to find new customers.
So if I just click in the search bar and I don't search anything, I just like scroll down, they have a shopping ideas little segment down there. So I can like click on the Pinterest shop gift guide. And this brings me to like a whole new page outside of like my own account. And this is where I really feel it, like where shopping on social media has kind of just been executed so nicely, where they're putting together guides for you. They're showing you the prices. You can pin the pins to the board, to your own boards. And they're like, oh, it's a shopping guide for the new adventurer, for Gen Zers and the hard to buy for seasoned and amateur foodies. And it's just very, exactly maybe kind of what you needed as a curated list if you are lost on what to buy like gifts for. And it's similar to Instagram, but I feel like Pinterest kind of has it a little bit more down pat, where it just feels more natural to the site.
Right. Now, what do you think is behind IKEA getting rid of their catalogs? Do you think it's because now I search?
I didn't know that, and that is devastating to me.
Yeah, it's like awful, isn't it? It's like the worst news. 70 years or something they've been doing it.
I mean, I don't get the IKEA catalog, but my parents have for years now. And whenever it comes in and I happen to be home, I'll sit and flip. It's giant. It's like a massive catalog. And I'll like, oh, look at all these ideas. I'll go on the website and see how much it is and, see if I want to even buy it. But wow, that's crazy. Because I feel like it's just been a staple of the brand and how shoppers shop at IKEA is using the catalog.
But now they're saying they don't, that they're all online. So you can either shop the catalog only online now, digital.
Okay, well, that's good. At least they're not getting away with it completely. Because I personally feel like their website is not the easiest to navigate.
It's all.
So.
But okay, so I just put in IKEA, though, into Pinterest, and I went to the shop. And they have pretty many pins over there. Yeah. I feel like maybe that's what they're seeing too. Hey, more people are just, going on to social media sites and we're creating the similar content over there and they're immediately on there and can just shop directly from there. So why print it out? I don't know.
I mean, they are saving trees by not printing it out anymore. Trying to get on the sustainability train.
Maybe, but it is pretty devastating. And I do feel like it might come back to haunt them. I don't know. Yeah. Kind of like when Victoria's Secret got rid of their catalog. That was a huge deal. And then they decided to stop that too. And I don't know, we've had that debate before on the podcast about catalogs. And a lot of people thought they were all going to go away. But, some of the brands use them so effectively, like RH. I mean, they put out things called the Source Book, but it's a catalog and it's huge. And they have several of them every year. But this last year, because of the pandemic, and because they were trying to actually slow their business, in the fall, they decided not to put out their fall Source Book because they do have a schedule over at RH about how, when they send out certain ones. And they did it on purpose to get less sales because that is how much it brings in business.
Wow.
Yeah, because there is something to be said, as we know, about, discovering different things just by turning the page that you might not have been thinking you were interested in, but, oh, wait, look at it in this cool picture. And I don't, the AI has gotten so good on these social media sites now that they're pretty good at showing you things that you do have an interest in, but it can't show you everything that's in a catalog. It's not going to be possible.
Right. In
front of your eyes in the same way. So I don't know, but it does feel like, these shopping buttons are a little more catalog-ish, I should say.
Right. Well, especially on Pinterest, right, where like brands who have accounts who have like dedicated, like with accounts with a ton of followers, they can set up like boards that act as catalogs.
Right. Completely.
Yeah.
Which IKEA does have its own pages and all that stuff over there. So they can try to recreate it. Won't be the same thing. But for these companies, the revenue that's generated from doing the shopping on here is what's really going to drive them going forward. Because for a while, nobody knew how Instagram was really making much money.
Yeah.
And the same with Pinterest. They weren't even earnings positive until this year, I believe it is. And so, they could always sell some ads on there, as we've just talked about. But this kind of shopping thing is just, I think, going to be huge in terms of, bringing in bigger time.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, yes, like these social media sites can get new users to sign up, but there's going to be a cap to that eventually.
Yeah.
So like that type of revenue stream, or the revenue stream that comes from getting new eyeballs onto the ads that they place, it's not going to be growing for an infinite amount of time. So having a new revenue stream through the shopping where, I don't know how many, like what the dollar amount the apps get from like each purchase or whatever. But regardless, like that is going to help them sustain profits going forward.
Yeah. So one of the few that we haven't talked about, because they don't really have any of these features, well, there's a couple of them, but Twitter doesn't have, it has embedded ads in the Twitter feed, but as far as I can kind of tell, there's no real way to shop on there, is there? No,
not that you're a bigger Twitter user than I am, but whenever I go on, I haven't really seen a shopping feature.
No, you would have to click on one of the ads, and it's usually like promoted by so-and-so, and then you click on that, and then you can go to their website or something, but you're not really on Twitter to do the same kind of shopping situation.
And you said, so like the original Facebook, they have a shopping feature?
Yeah, Facebook shopping it's called. So, but I can find it. So I don't know what that means.
Either.
Is it embedded? Like, there's no like bag like Instagram has, like up at the top of my feed. I'm looking at it.
Right. When they have Marketplace, but that's like a Craigslist thing.
Yeah. But they definitely.
Yeah, I don't know where it is either.
Yeah, because there is Facebook for business, and then it takes you and it says like Facebook for shopping, and it has an explanation page and all this stuff. And it says if you set up one, if you write on one, it goes on the other one too, onto Instagram too.
Okay, so I just clicked on that Majuri brand on Facebook, and they have a link that says shop now, but that takes you to the website and not like there's not like a shop within shop that I can find for Majuri on Facebook. It just takes you to their actual website. So maybe that's what they mean.
I don't know. Yeah, I just looked up Kristen Cavallari again too to see like if there's anything on hers. But since she doesn't have it on Instagram, I guess it makes sense she might not have it over here either. No, she doesn't have anything either. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not very developed on Facebook, obviously, if we have to kind of search around to try to find it.
Okay, I feel like I'm backtracking. Sorry. So I searched Uncommon James, which is her line, and it comes up and it says Uncommon James, and then it says View Shop. So I click on that. And it is a shop, and it is like, it's very similar to the Instagram. Well, it is exactly as like the Instagram shop. So they have it. It's just not, it's like if you're on your news feed and it's like on the left bar, there's like all like the Facebook features. It's not there. There's no like shopping thing there. So it is a little bit more hidden.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah, I feel like Facebook, it's not as easy to do, and Instagram is the place to be for that. Okay, so yes, nothing on Twitter, and then we have not talked about LinkedIn. That's owned by Microsoft, and there's no shopping on LinkedIn that I've seen. No. They get their revenue. I feel like over there.
It would make sense to start promoting, like having like shops for resume writers or business cards or something to like that effect on LinkedIn. So you shop within shops for, career related things, head shoots or headshots or whatever, like photographers go on there.
Yeah, I was going to say, what if you were a professional photographer and you have like, your own book of business, your own thing that you want to promote over there.
I know. One of these days that's going to happen, and we're going to be like, we thought of it first.
Right. Well, they did add, I'm on that site, they did add stories over there, and people are very angry. They're like, why do we need stories on LinkedIn? And so they did like that. I don't know how many people are using that even. I have not myself. So I don't know. But LinkedIn, they're always kind of, because their focus is a little bit different, they always are a little bit behind the curve on some of these things. So I guess we'll know that the shopping is working if suddenly there's some kind of shopping thing. But as you said, it might make sense for them to add an ability for people to go to a shop of someone whose career is in that field. Right. That makes sense. So where does this leave us? This is a new area, and I think a lot of the brands are trying to figure it out as we are. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like it's just going to be huge. And just even when I was preparing for this podcast and I'm on Instagram, I don't know, I was in the rabbit hole for like 2 or 3 hours at least. And my shopping over there is like stinks. It's not even as good as yours. So I can't imagine, this not working because of how addictive it is, like once you're in there too.
And let's be honest, it's only good for me because I'm on the app a lot of hours of the day, and they have a ton of data on me and like the things that I click on, the things that I like or comment. And that aspect makes you like a little like weary type of thing, but it's also like what we said, now it just seems it causes weariness, but it's also like a natural evolution of how social media like presents itself to us.
Yeah. So you don't see any kind of negative with any brand having like a shopping feature on Instagram. Like if you were on someone's Instagram page, you're not like, oh, they have a shop. You wouldn't see that as a negative, would you?
No.
Okay. So that's a positive for all that these sites are trying to do, because they want it, if they can promote it to the retailers as this is a positive experience and the brands, then
and it's also something that can be done in-house. Like you don't have to hire, like if your brand is small enough and you have like a social media manager, you can give them the task of setting up the shop. And I don't think it would be that difficult for one person to do. But as and that's definitely an advantage and a benefit for these brands to set up a shop, is because it's easy, and why not? And it's just another way to grow your sales number, or your yearly sales figures.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So who's going to be the winner here out of these companies? If I'm investing, I own Pinterest because I bought it this year after I saw some of these shopping features and like what was going on. And I do like the story there, and they're expanding quickly into Europe, and I feel like that's a big market for them, like over in Germany and the Netherlands. They're big for those two countries now, and they're going to shop too, right on the app.
Right.
So, but I did join Instagram to see what was going on there, and how they're able to incorporate it all. And I'm kind of impressed so far with what they're doing too. So
yeah, I think like for a lot of things, Instagram, like whatever they adopt, it's going to become the norm. Like with the stories feature a few years ago when they implemented, everyone was like, oh, that's just a rip off of Snapchat. But then a year after that, Snapchat has almost become not irrelevant, but I mean, no one is sending snaps anymore. They're sending and uploading stories.
Right.
And so for Instagram to make shopping a priority, it says that shopping on social media apps will become the thing to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like for investing, I mean, I like Pinterest. Like I like their growth story too. I've been a user of for like a decade now at this point. And the way that they're growing, the way that they're implementing advertising strategy, like all of these things makes them a really unique company, and something and like a product that I think is going to appeal to an even larger audience as over the years. Yeah,
that's what I think. And for some people who were on Pinterest many years ago, but then kind of went away from it, they've said they've lured back some of those people now, and they're staying on longer now that they've been lured back. It has changed a lot in the last couple of years. Yeah. And so I think people are rediscovering Pinterest, and that they really do like what's going on over there. Okay. So,
I feel like I'm going to be on Pinterest like the rest of this week now, just like scrolling now that I like know like all the new features. So yes, I'm definitely one of those users.
So you're an actual example of what's going on. Yeah. So these are some to keep an eye on. And I know Facebook is, being sued by the FTC, and there's this whole thing, they want to break them up. But I've always said I never cared as a Facebook shareholder if they were broken up, because I actually did buy Facebook several years ago for Instagram.
Okay.
I thought it was genius, and that's the thing I wanted to own, not the Facebook. So if they want to split up and give me Instagram shares, and then there's Facebook, and then there's WhatsApp too, sure, I'm fine with that. So Facebook is an option here for investors, ticker FB. Pinterest is another one. It has had a big run, but we'll see in the next couple quarters if it can kind of keep this momentum with the shopping, and this holiday season will be key for them. And they do specialize a lot in the home goods type of categories. And that's really hot right now. So that all of those things may help Pinterest here, but ticker there is PINS. There's Shopify. It's trading around $1,000 a share right now. I still like that story. And if you're a small business, they make it so easy. If you're, let's say, an influencer who does like, beauty, makeup or whatever, and you launch your own makeup line, well, you're going to probably go on Shopify to open up your store. You just are. They make it so easy. So Shopify, ticker SHOP. Then a couple of the other ones we talked about, Snap, SNAP, Twitter, which doesn't have shopping, TWTR, and Microsoft's LinkedIn, which does not have shopping yet, but maybe might, as we discussed, add some kind of feature like that where you could go to someone's shop or online store of some sort, and that is Microsoft MSFT. So we will return to this topic, of course, of retail shopping. And this was an interesting show. Thanks for coming on, Maddie, about social media and what's all happening there, because this is the new era for shopping on the social media sites themselves. And you don't want to miss a single episode because I'm bringing you a lot of end of the year interesting shows here as we wind down 2020. So get the Zach's Market Edge, subscribe to us so you get it every week. You can get us on SoundCloud, but we're also on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify and wherever else you can get podcasts. Just put in Zach's Market Edge and get us somewhere. But until next week, I'll see you then with some more stocks.
This material is being provided for informational purposes only, and nothing herein constitutes investment, legal, accounting, or tax advice, or a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold a security. Do not act or rely upon the information and advice given in this podcast without seeking the services of competent and professional legal, tax, or accounting counsel. Publication and distribution of this podcast is not intended to create, and the information contained herein does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. No recommendation or advice is being given as to whether any investment or strategy is suitable for a particular investor. It should not be assumed that any investments in securities, companies, sectors, or markets identified and described were or will be profitable. All information is current as of the date herein and is subject to change without notice. Any views or opinions expressed may not reflect those of Zacks Investment Research as a whole.